Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Whoopi Studio. Today, we are here to talk about When Calls the Heart, Season 11, Episode 6, titled Believe. And can you believe that my mumsy is here to join me?
Hello, everyone.
Overall, I liked the episode. Not much happened. I mean, I thought the central plot with Higgins was really well done, though. Um, Everything else was just kind of mad to me. I mean, Mike and May had a cute moment at the end, but it definitely felt like a slower episode in the other storylines for sure. But I still liked it overall. What did you think of the episode?
I overall good episode. I think I liked most that they only used one episode to deal with Higgins because I'm not a fan of Higgins.
Me neither. The difference with him is that at least he does have like a personal connection to Elizabeth, where the school inspector was just yeah. So I feel like it was a they. I feel like they also handled it better. Um, and it was more interesting of a storyline than the school inspector thing was, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, let's jump right in. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Higgins thing, or do you kind of want to go small then go big?
Let's just go right at it.
Okay. Well, first of all, we should just say Goldie is officially 1 year old, which is very exciting.
Happy birthday, Goldie.
Happy birthday, Goldie. And then we have Nathan offering to carry Elizabeth's books. And then there's the classic where like their fingers brush against the books. And then they make plans to go on a date, their first date,
Yes, this is
even
big.
though it doesn't actually happen in this episode. But really, I mean, I don't know. You could say that they're going on dates, maybe not like the ideal dates, but pretty much all of their conversations kind of feel like they could be dates, or many of them do.
Not even conversations, the stares,
Mm-hmm.
just the looks.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, much is being said.
Um.
Mm.
So yeah, Mr. Higgins comes, and I kind of don't remember each specific time that he comes into the classroom, but pretty much he's just bringing new guidelines in now that they're going to be under the Hope Valley School District, and it's very clear that he's trying to control her school. To one point, he even says, "We might even change your name from the Jack Thornton School." And throughout all of this, Elizabeth is very much struggling, but she won't tell Nathan. She does tell Rosemary about it. But Elizabeth doesn't want Nathan to get involved. I mean, because there's no proof that Higgins is doing what he's doing. But I think it's really when Higgins, well, two things. One, when he talks to Anna, and two, when he says, "I'm going to rename your school." I think those were the two things that really caused her to like break, because we saw her go into Nathan's arms there by the schoolhouse, which was a great scene. But I thought I don't necessarily think the actress who plays Elizabeth is like is like the best actress at all times, but I thought she did really good in this episode.
I
Um,
agree.
but yeah, what did you think overall of this storyline?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it really started to hit her when he started kind of hitting on Anna,
Mm-hmm.
and she realized, wait a minute, I have to do something about this. He's done this to me and he's haunted me for years. He's doing it to many other women as well,
Mm-hmm.
and it's time for it to be put to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Um, and she opens up to Nathan about what happened, which was a great scene. And then Nathan, is gonna was getting ready to go and like go to Higgins directly, but Elizabeth convinces him not to, as this is something she wants to kind of like take matters into her own hands. But Nathan does offer to help her, so they stage a coup.
mhm.
Um, she writes Higgins a note to come to the schoolhouse, and then because she knows that he'll ask her to dinner, because he keeps it this whole episode. He's asking her to dinner, which is just very creepy.
Yeah, very
Um,
creepy.
and basically, she's able to get him to admit to what happened between them. And then I knew the whole time that Nathan was in that back room, and he came out, and yeah, that was a great scene. But what was even better was when he went to complain to Lucas about it, and Lucas then reveals that he made calls and he has proof, and that he was in on it too, and that he's going to be facing a trial, and then he tells him to get out of his office. And he says, "I believe Elizabeth, and I believe every woman that has said this about you," which was a great moment for Lucas too.
Yes, yay, Lucas.
Hmm.
We definitely he stepped up and
He stepped up
came
big
through
time.
there. Yes.
Hmm. Um, and then Higgins leaves, and Elizabeth says, "I hope you never have the power to abuse another woman again." Or she says, "You will never have the power to." It's not even that she hopes.
And
Um,
and yeah, and I love that she said, "You're weak. That's why
mm,
you do this." And
yeah.
yeah, she definitely was empowered in this episode, and I loved that.
And they didn't just let Nathan and Lucas handle it, they really let Elizabeth have control of it by the end. And I really appreciated that.
Definitely.
Because it's really, she needed that closure.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's something that we kind of forgot about as the audience. Clearly, though, that this happened to her, um, but it kind of made sense with that. This would be something that would need to be addressed with the school, with the new school board thing.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't think. Well, I knew that he was coming back. I didn't think they would. I just assumed the school inspector would come back and be an issue. But I like this better because it, again, like a personal connection to Elizabeth, and it was only one episode.
And
So,
it brought resolution for her to a very traumatic time in her life. So
hmm,
that's good.
yeah.
Closure.
And then that final scene with Elizabeth and Nathan was sweet too. Pretty much he's saying how proud he is of her, and she thanks him for being there and here for her. And he says, "There's nowhere I'd rather be." And then she leans her head on his shoulder, and they look out to the moon. So that's a pretty big step. Like feeling very, like twice in this episode, she hugs him, and then she leans on his shoulder, like she's getting very comfortable around him and opening herself up to him. Because one thing we know about Elizabeth is that she has a very hard time opening up to people and being honest about what she's feeling. But now she's finally starting to.
In all honesty, I really feel like that her relationship with Nathan already is at a different level than what her relationship with Lucas was.
Oh, for sure.
The emotional ties between the looks between them. I mean, it's just a totally different relationship than what it was with her and Lucas already.
Hmm. And they're doing a great job this season at taking the triangle and I think changing it for the better. There's not a triangle anymore, but they finally put Elizabeth and Nathan together, who I think balance each other out really well. And then they're making Lucas this very strong and independent leader, who's willing to take risks. And he's always been willing to take risks, but I feel like with Elizabeth, they kind of water down his character a bit. And I like that they're kind of bringing him back to his roots of being that type of character. So I think by making this change, they've benefited all three of them.
Agreed.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, um, so let's move on to like the mini plots. So we have Lee, um, and he wants to hold some sort of event to like celebrate him becoming mayor, or mostly he just wants to like get other people's opinions as to what he could do. Rosemary suggests that he should do like a black tie ball,
Of course.
and he says no. And then there's like this whole like drama about more people coming than he wants. But then he kind of decides by the end that he wants this to be for everyone, and everyone should have the right to voice their opinions to him. So he sets up the talk to the mayor and meet the mayor thing, like a weekly thing where people can come to him with their concerns. Which I think is a good idea, and I'm glad Lee was the one to come up with the idea, and instead of Rosemary, as usual, kind of like controlling and coming up with the best ideas. This one was Lee's idea, which I thought was
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. I agree with that because Rosemary's always everything has to be flashy and fancy and just glamorous, and Lee's more down to earth, and it ended up
Hmm.
the way it needed to be.
And I'm excited to see more of Lee as mayor, and seeing what he'll be up to will be cool.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so the investigation. There's not much progress. This is a very slow investigation, is what I've come to realize. But we do have. I thought it was funny when Rosemary walks into the office with Goldie's carriage, and then she reveals that there's just a bunch of like papers in there.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
funny.
funny. And we do find out that Pike doesn't want to talk to anyone about what happened, which is kind of suspicious. And then we find out that he briefly worked for a company that Montague owned.
Yes.
So they find that connection there,
Yep.
which was pretty big. So I think now I I don't know who did it. Like I still don't know who. I feel like it's almost we're kind of thinking Montague is the too obvious, and it's going to be someone else though, and it's definitely not Pike. So I think we can rule out those two. Um, but do you have any thoughts on the investigation?
Like you said, it's just slowly moving forward, but there is little pieces that are coming together, so it's making progress. It's just slow.
Yes, very slow. Um, and then we have Mike and May, and they have some cute scenes. We learn more about May. We find out that I guess both of her parents have died, is what I got from their conversation, but her brother is in the Marines. I
Hmm.
wonder if that's kind of laying groundwork for us to meet her brother eventually.
I thought maybe that would be the case. Yeah.
Hmm. And and it was a nice line when she says, like, now I have someone to cook for.
Hmm.
And then that ending, that final scene where they have their date, and it's like a very pretty date with all the lanterns, and then she cooks for him, and he impresses her with the chopsticks, and he says he wants to be a part of her world, and she says ditto,
Yeah.
and then they kiss. I thought that was a really nice, touching scene.
It was. It was sweet and romantic, and yeah, I
Hmm.
liked it.
Yeah, definitely some good progress there, and I liked how each couple, like, because I think those were like the last two scenes. Like both couples are making progress. Mike and May, it's different. They're already together, you know. Um, Elizabeth and Nathan are making progress in a different way because I feel like their relationship is a lot deeper than Mike and May's, and they've also known each other for longer. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of decided I'm not gonna guess what who the wedding is gonna be between anymore. I've
Hmm.
tried this whole season, but I genuinely do not know which one it is. So I'm just gonna go with the flow and see what happens. It could be either or. I definitely think it's one of those two, though. I don't know who else it could be.
Right.
Um, but what else? Oh, we had Joseph. He's trying to write to Jacob, but he's struggling. And many, I don't remember what she says, but she says like the words will come.
Hmm.
You know, being like the wise owl that she is.
Yes. Yep.
And we don't actually see him send the letter, but we know Jacob's coming at some point.
Yes, we do.
Um, but yeah, that's basically what
What
else do we?
about any thoughts on Lucas and Henry talking to other people, trying to rally support, and everyone's
Yeah.
turning them down? There's something there.
Well, I wonder what that is. Like, does Lucas have a bad reputation in the business world, not necessarily the politics world, because I think that's new for him. But does he have a bad reputation in the business world? But I also thought maybe because Henry's involved is why people are not interested because he has a bad reputation in the business world.
Yeah. Or I wonder, are those people that he's trying to rally support from supporters of Montague?
I mean, possibly.
Uh,
I that's yeah. I don't know. But I'm curious to see whether this resort's actually going to happen.
yeah.
Um, at this point, I just don't know. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see Henry working with Lucas, though, even though he was only in
Hmm.
one scene. But I'm glad he's come around and helping Lucas out.
I agree.
Um, but anything else about the episode? I think we've covered all
I
the
think so.
bases. Next episode, we're getting Tom Thornton back,
Hmm.
and which I'm looking forward to seeing why he's there in the first place. Well, I guess he's like scouting choirs or something.
Hmm.
Um, but we did see in the preview he like brought balloons to Jack's grave or
Yeah.
something. So maybe it's like Jack's birthday or something. Um, and we see Elizabeth says something like he feels he's in Jack's shadow. And then Nathan says that's something I can sympathize with. And Elizabeth says, I don't think of you as in anyone's shadow, which is interesting. That they're kind of tying it all back around to when she told him, I've been seeing Jack in you. And I think that's definitely going to be addressed because when she told him that, she thought like he is in Jack's shadow and he's like behind Jack when she told him that. That completely crushed him. So it's interesting that he brought that back up. And I
Mm-hmm.
think when Elizabeth says that, that's going to be some reassurance from him
Yeah.
that she sees him as more than Jack. Like she
Yes.
sees him as his own self.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think fans are like want these like long conversations addressing that. I don't think we need that. I think he definitely could have use some reassurance from that, um, for sure. And I think well, she even says it like I don't see you as in Jack's shadow. So I think that's going to be what makes him realize that she sees him for more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But um, yeah, so we'll be back next week to talk about episode 7. Comment down below your thoughts on this episode. And yeah, we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.